everyone, Adam here, some Wizard Podcast. Got something really cool for you today. The awesome people at Amazon were kind enough to send us screeners for the entire third season of The Boys. In case you hate awesome things and you have not been watching The Boys is a dark comedy, science fiction, you know, the whole comic book superhero thing, but kind of spun on its head a little bit, where what if these people were not virtues and icons to look up to, but what if the power and influence, I mean, you know, power literal in their superpowers and how they could influence the world and corporations and the money that could be made on controlling these people, what if all of that went to their head and they were kind of just douchebags is really the best way to put it. I mean, not all of them, but that's kind of the tone of the show. The Boys, the series, is an Amazon original, developed for TV by Eric Kripke, who, as you know, birthed Supernatural amongst many other very popular projects that really fall right in line with kind of the geek and nerd culture that we love to cover. The Boys is based on a comic book by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. It was originally a DC comic, but then moved over to Dynamite, which for this one I think is the better move. And it's not just because the big two are kind of crumbling right now, but because The Boys really goes after and goes for the throats of all the major superheroes, DC and Marvel, I think having it on kind of an independent third like Dynamite is a better fit for it, so that there's no, I'm not sure the word, there's no influence from the publisher. They're not taking dollars out of the creators' pockets if they want to go for, you know, say a pretty direct Superman spoof, or in the case of The Boys Season 3, a Captain America spoof if they were under, you know, the Marvel banner. Just to get this out there, because I did mention a Captain America spoof, this will be a spoiler-free review. The Captain America spoof thing you can figure out in the very synopsis of the show. So the synopsis of The Boys Season 3 is the events pick up a year after Season 2 left off. We're not going to do a full recap of that here. Butcher's working for the government. He's directly reporting to Huey, which is, you know, kind of a funny way that the character relationships there turn. And the rest of the boys are kind of scattered. They're kind of doing their own thing, trying to pick up the pieces of their own lives that they pretty much put on hold for the mission of the boys, and more specifically, Butcher's. But they hear about a weapon, a soup-killing weapon. Soup is the nickname the boys call the superheroes, you know, anyone with powers, anyone enhanced, that they think could take down Homelander, which was kind of the thrust of the first two seasons. And they just get this itch that doing things the clean and appropriate way might not be for them. So of course, the boys are back. And with The Boys being such an out there, over-the-top, insane show, it's got insane comedy, it has insane storylines, it has insane characters. I mean, they're egomaniacs, the insecurities, the superpowers, the shock value comedy, but in the best way. It's not like they're not cheap shocks where, like, let's just be as disgusting as possible to get people to react. There is some disgusting stuff based around the humor, and The Boys walks this magically fine line. I mean, you know, razor-thin tightrope walk of this side would be too far, this side isn't far enough, so it's just something you've already seen before, and they shoot straight down the middle, and maybe they don't have 100% return on that, but it's in the high 90s for sure. This series keeps finding ways to up the ante on the comedy, up the ante on the action, up the ante on all of the ingredients without it ever feel like they're reaching too far or trying too hard or chewing the scenery or any of these showbiz terms that we all use when reviewing something. It just manages to walk this perfect line that it's incredible. I mean, I know it's only Season 3 coming out, so it's not like they're on episode 200 or anything, but this is a difficult thing to pull off, especially in the political climate of today. And the political climate of today is something The Boys was kind of built in, but just with how insane things have been in the last few years in the real world, the fact that The Boys can keep their finger on the pulse of the world, keep their finger on the pulse of the comedy, but they go for it and they really attack things that I was surprised to see them attack, and not just surprised, but very grateful for, because these things need to be taken down a peg or two. The interpretations that I had on it might be a little bit different from yours, but I think I know what the writers were going for because these scripts are solid and tight. Amazing. The comedy's amazing, the satire of it is amazing, and the fact that they managed to do all that, keep their finger on the pulse, while still staying true to things they set up in the first episode of the first season of The Boys, and the fact that the comic was made even before that, is just tremendous writing all around, and huge credit to the writing staff. I'm sure they worked really hard. When I say these scripts are tight, they are, and they have to be. This is an 8-episode season, and when I got done with it, the amount of content and the amount of story, the amount of character development, the relationships, the way that the relationships turn, the way that characters make choices that a few of them did rub me the wrong way in the first place, or maybe you personally won't agree with it, or you don't see where it's going, and then it gets there, and each episode feels like 4 or 5 of another show. There is so much going on in the best of ways. It's not so much going on where you can't keep up and your head is spinning. You got to take a minute and go read Wikipedia synopsis to see what's going on. They're just jam-packed, using every absolute minute of it, and I loved the whole ride. The whole of the ongoing cast is back. I mean, not just in The Boys, but in Vought, in the world around them. There's some great cameos. There's some great guest appearances. I don't want to spoil any of that, even if it's not a story-specific spoiler, because just seeing an actor's face for, you know, the one scene that they're in is a cool enough cameo that if I give it away, the surprise will be cheapened, and I don't want to do that to you because this is something that should absolutely be watched. There are some new stars in it. There's a couple of new soups. One especially gets a lot of screen time, has a lot of backstory as far as Starlight's concerned, which does fun things for the Starlight and Huey romance angle, where you kind of get the sitcom level love triangle, but it's heightened because 2 of them are superheroes, and Huey's just trying to keep up in this world that he's way out of his depth in, which is kind of the bread and butter of his character. It's kind of the sweet spot for Huey, is being out of his depth and keeping up and rising to the occasion. Starlight really gets a voice this season. She's always been somebody for fans to rally around, not just because she's beautiful, but because her character is written strong, and as she makes discoveries about her own past, she has to become her own self. And the character and the hero and the actress all really rise to the occasion, which is great. And something we got to in the synopsis, I believe this is spoiler-free because it is in the synopsis, but there is a new character, Soldier Boy, who is credited as the first superhero, so you know the spoof they're going for. I don't need to spell it out for you. And he's played by a Eric Kripke previous collaborator. I'm pretty positive this is on IMDb, so if you want to know, you can go and look it up. If you don't want to know, I'm not going to be the one to spoil it in case it's supposed to be held on to. But this is a character, or an actor that I've seen as another character for so long that I thought I was going to have a hard time seeing him as Soldier Boy, and I didn't at all. He does a phenomenal job. It's a great character. It's a hilarious take on the character they're spoofing while being a strong character in their own right. And it makes for some really great dynamics, and it makes for some really great action scenes. As far as the action goes, The Boys, I would say, is a dark comedy first and foremost, but it is also a superhero show. And while it's not really filled with super heroics and heart and family and comedy, which was kind of the motto of the Berlantiverse, this is not the Berlantiverse. We're not there. It does deliver on the superhero action of it all. There's a thread involving the boys, a story thread involving the boys, that I felt was not disingenuous to the character, because I do see what they're going for. I do see what the character was going for. I just feel like there should have been more conflict getting him there. Maybe I say that now, but if I had seen the version that I have in my head, it wouldn't have been as strong, because if they spent all this time getting there, even though as an audience member we know it's gonna get there, I would be doing this video complaining that we knew it was gonna get there. Why didn't they just get on with it already? When it goes there, about halfway through the season, the action just jumps to another level that The Boys has not had yet, and it's fantastic. It's incredible. It's very well done. It rivals anything in the dwindling Marvel universe or the can't get off the ground DC cinematic universe. It's incredible. About halfway through the series, as I said, the action really gets kicked up a notch. Before that, the season is a little light on action. I actually didn't know I was missing out on the action until the show took it to this next level. So it shouldn't be something you rub up against, but if you're in it for the boys for more of the superhero and the superpowers thing, you do have a little bit of a wait, but I would urge you to hang in there because when it comes, it pays off, and you shouldn't just skip to it because while the visuals are fantastic, the story and character moments that are the vehicle for those visuals make it so much more worth it. It's hard to say where this season would rank in my overall rankings of The Boys if I had to choose. There were some individual moments within episodes that I think would be in my top 3 or top 5 of the entire series so far. Luckily, this isn't such an episodic story where one would be placed above the other because it's a continuing story. I would say at the very beginning of the season, there was some threads that I didn't love because I wanted the tried and true formula of The Boys. There was some threads that as the season went on, I wish had been developed further. I almost feel like a couple are like, hey, here's this thing, we could go in these really interesting directions. Never mind. Not that it doesn't make sense or that the writers lose them entirely without explaining what or why. I just felt like there was a couple missed opportunities in story threads that I personally found interesting. And there were some character moments like I was kind of getting at before, and it wasn't just with one specific character, but there was a couple things where I was thinking, I know why the character has to do this for the story. I don't know why the character is doing this for the character, almost like they weren't being true to themselves. And, you know, we're all humans. We've all made mistakes. It might just be as simple as that, but just a couple little minor, really nitpick things like that rub me the wrong way. And I say nitpick because, man, did I enjoy this season. This was something where I couldn't wait to get back to it. I was moving my plans around to make more time to get into the episodes. I got these screeners the same weekend as Stranger Things Season 4, which I've been waiting for as long as, we had been waiting for it. I was really anticipating that. I put that aside to watch The Boys. Did get to it, and it was phenomenal. So, The Boys, coming June 3rd, Amazon Prime. If you haven't been watching, watch it from the start. If you have been watching, the wait was worth it because they're delivering. Huge thanks to Amazon for sending this along to us. Hopefully we can turn on some new viewers to it to repay the favor. We've been doing a lot of these Amazon series reviews lately, and most have been pretty good. A few have been real stinkers. There's a few that I was really looking forward to that I was disappointed in, and I was really happy that The Boys is not going to be put on that particular list because I am all in, and now I'm just foaming at the mouth for Season 4. As I said, The Boys, June 3rd, Amazon Prime. Check it out. Please make sure to like and subscribe. We have a lot more of these reviews. I have a ton more screeners backing up, setting up more interviews, new movie coverage, comic reviews. Still got an unboxing, or a few unboxings to sit here. We're going to have Galaxy's Edge coverage in the next couple weeks. Tons of stuff you're not going to want to miss out. Speaking of not wanting to miss out, make sure you listen to So Wizard Podcast every single week wherever you get your podcasts. So Wizard Podcast can also be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get multiple monthly bonus shows. So WizardPodcast.com is your resource for reviews, recommendations, videos, merchandise, and more. If it's something So Wizard, it makes its way to the website. So just check that out as your central hub. And we love hearing feedback. Follow us on social media. Leave us a note or a comment there. And comment in the show notes. All of our accounts will be found after the show and in the show notes. And on a more personal note, a good friend and I have an ongoing comedy comic series. It's called Social Studies. It's a slice of life kind of around the ridiculousness and the insanity of the high school experience. It's about these kids trying to figure out who they are, what friendship means, all that kind of stuff. But don't worry, it's not this heavy-handed thing. We keep it fun, we keep it light, we write it in the vein of a 90s sitcom, and the styling, while it's very original, is inspired by those 90s cartoons that we grew up on and inspired us. 9 issues available now. There are 12 done. We're working on number 13. You can find all that at socialstudiescomic.com or on Comixology, including Comixology Unlimited. Thanks.